Well, hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have with me the Roborock S7 Plus. That is the Roborock S7 here, and the addition of the auto empty dustbin here makes this the S7 Plus. Now you can buy these separately, so if you want to try out the S7 first before making the commitment to buy the dustbin, you can do that as well. Roborock gives you the option to buy them either together or separately. So today I'm going to talk about the combination of both of these. I'm going to give you a final review on the S7. I know many of you have been asking for that. I've been running this in my house for about 6 months now, so I've had plenty of time and opportunity to test it out, and I've also been testing it out for several months now with the auto empty dustbin. So a little bit of history from Roborock. Roborock comes from the company Xiaomi, which is the parent company for Roborock. They actually worked to produce the first robot vacuum for Xiaomi, the Xiaomi Mi robot vacuum in 2016. Later, Roborock branched off into their own company where they started designing robots like the S5, the S4, the S6, and here we are fast forward to today with the latest flagship today, which is the Roborock S7. So have they made some improvements and changes over the years? Well, we'll talk about that in this video and tell you whether or not this is a good buy for you. So let's go ahead and jump into the auto empty dock. Now the auto empty dock was released several months ago, and I didn't get this with my S7 at first. I've had the S7 for quite a bit longer, and so the auto empty dock was nicely paired with the S7 right out of the box. And the performance of the auto empty dock, I'm pleased to say, after about 3 or 4 months of usage in my house, has been excellent. Not once have I had a clog in this thing, not once have I had it fail to empty out the dustbin completely. It has just been a really good, solid performer. Another thing to mention about the auto empty dock here is it has a wide extraction port opening, which helps make sure that it gets everything out of the robot vacuum. That was a unique design from the S7 here in the way that it extracts all the debris out of the dustbin through the actual roller brush opening. I was a bit skeptical of that at first, thinking that it couldn't get everything past it, especially not with one try, but it has really exceeded my expectations. The other thing with the auto empty dock here is that it does come with a 2-stage HEPA filter. So other robot vacuums on the market claim to have a HEPA filter, but this is a really nice design HEPA filter. In addition to the bag that's in here, which most robot vacuums with auto empty docks only have a bag for filtration, the S7 over here, the auto empty dock, has 2 separate filters over here that give it a HEPA filter status. And so this thing right here will not stink up your house when it's emptying out your robot vacuum. So those are some of the features. Now, if you want to look at the full in-depth review for the auto empty dock, I've already done that. I'll go ahead and drop a link down in the description below where I go into more depth and about the testing of this, so make sure you check that out. So let's go ahead and talk about the S7 right now. They did quite a bit to change the S7, not only to work with the auto empty dock and the design here, but they also introduced something that was a first, which is the Viberize mopping system. On the back of this, you have a mopping pad that not only vibrates at ultrasonic speed, it also has the ability to lift itself up, which I think is the most important feature, the ability to lift itself up. You see, robot vacuums, when you attach their mopping pads, they're not able to get across your carpet. So if you have carpet in between the dock and your destination, well, you're going to have a wet mopping pad being dragged across your carpets unless you want to pick it up and move it. So the roller brush is another thing that was changed with the S7, a whole new design of the roller brush and the deck for the roller brush. It is a floating design. The roller brush sits in a deck that has more movement up and down to it. And also the roller brush is a all rubber design, similar to the ones found in the iRobot models. And I can tell you that it works very well in my opinion. Somehow the roller brush is able to avoid attracting hair being wrapped around it. Since I've had this, I have not had any hair tangled around the roller brush, which is a pretty amazing feat. Most of my other robot vacuums, I have to take the hair off of it after 2 or 3 cleanings because I have 2 girls in my house and a house full of cats. So that is a nice welcome change with the roller brush design there. The S7 does come with a dedicated carpet sensor on the very front of the robot vacuum that works really well. It makes sure that when it goes up on carpet, it enables the rising mechanism of the mop, and so that you're not dragging a wet mop cloth across your carpet. It also helps the S7 uniquely identify carpets on your map. This is the first of the S7 model from any of Roborock's, the ability to detect and show you what is carpet on the map in the app. Okay, let's talk about performance real quick. So that is the thing that we mostly care about, right, is the performance and how well all this works together, especially with all of the changes. So many unique changes from the S6 to the S7. But let's go ahead and talk about the real life usage and some of my synthetic mopping and vacuuming tests that I put this through. So the first test we'll talk about is the tile pickup test. I use 130 grams of kitty litter scattered across my tile floor. The grout is something that I want to make sure that it has the ability to get down into, so that's why I choose tile over my laminate. And I sent the S7 out, and I'm pleased to announce that it was able to pick up 125 of that 130 grams of cat litter, and that it makes it one of the best performers of any robot vacuum that I have tested to date. How about carpet pickup tests? So I use rice on my carpet for the carpet pickup test, and I used 54 grams of rice in this test. And the Roborock S7 did really well, and it was able to pick up 48 of the 54 grams of rice, also making it one of the best performers on carpet of any of the robot vacuums that I've tested to date. Alright, so all the changes with the mopping attachment on the very back. The Viberize system works quite well. I have tested in several videos. In fact, I'll link all the videos that I have done test with the S7 down below in the description. There are quite a few. I've done head-to-head videos. But in the actual lifting of the mopping pad, I've tested it on medium and low pile carpet. I soaked the mopping pad and I sent it out and let the Viberize system lift it up when it went across carpet. And using my hand test, I just felt right behind the robot vacuum to see if I felt any wetness on the carpet. And it did really well. Now, if you have thick carpets, the Viberize system doesn't lift up high enough to really avoid those if you have thick plush carpets. But if you have low or medium pile carpets, the Viberize system does a really good job getting that wet mopping pad off of the carpet. Now, for the Viberize system as it relates to cleaning and the mopping test, which is what we care about here in performance, the mopping system for the Viberize did really well. Now, in my test, I used dried on hot sauce that is baked onto my floors. I send the robot vacuum out first in standard mode, which is a standard cleaning pattern that does a Z-shaped pattern across the floor. That standard mopping pattern, the Roborock S7 did about average compared to other robot vacuums. However, when you paired that with the other option that was released with the S7, which is a more intense deep mopping option that you can change in the app, basically what the S7 does is it does tighter zigzag patterns, so the Roborock S7 is over the stain many more times going back and forth, and that made the Roborock S7 one of the best mopping robot vacuums that I have tested in combination. So if you have heavy stains on your floors, definitely make sure that you choose the deep mopping option inside the app. Okay, well, let's talk about the app and the control of the S7. So the app is really good. It's one of the best apps that I've used for any robot vacuum. It is full featured, all functionality is there, and it is very easy to map and also navigate your house. Roborock does a really good job of updating the firmware and their software with frequent updates and releases. They're always fine-tuning the S7 and all of the other robot vacuums. The app is what I consider to be one of the best and the leading on the market. And if you want a full walkthrough of the S7 app, I've actually done that. I'll link that video down in the description. Go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so with all the good with the S7, is there some bad? Well, yes, there are a few cons and drawbacks to the S7. Well, the floating roller brush design is one. While I commend it for the design and being able to do well in all of the pickup tests, that's because the roller brush is able to drop all the way down on the floor for two reasons. One, to have a better suction here with the auto empty base, and two, to be able to get closer to the floor. And so with that, there are about 4 or 5 nubs that stick down. In fact, I got a video here where you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And so those nubs right across your floor. Some people have complained that they have scratched their hardwood floors. Now, I have laminate floors in my house and it has not done anything to scratch it. In fact, it's pretty difficult to scratch them. However, some people may have more delicate floors in their house, so it's just something to keep in mind. If you have delicate floors, when you get the S7, maybe test it out in a small area before you go ahead and send it out for a whole house cleaning. Those nubs do drag the floor. You can hear them, especially across my tile floor, but again, it has not scratched any of my laminate flooring. This next issue, which is with the side brush design, is an issue with all Roborock models, but I'll go ahead and mention it. It has the tendency to get hair wrapped around it, which is a shame because the main roller brush in this does not, so I don't have to really clean it out. One of the only maintenance items left now for me to do with the S7 is about once a week I have to flip it over and remove the side spinning brush right here in order to unwrap hair that is wrapped around it. And I have tested other robot vacuums that have been able to not attract hair around the side spinning brush quite like Roborock side spinning brush does. One of the things I found in my many months of testing is the new design with the mopping pad only allows for one place for the water to come and drop on the mopping pad from the water tank. You see the water tank is separate in the S7, and it uses a tube to drop water on the mopping pad based on the intensity of how wet you want the pad, and you can set that setting in the app. It only drops it in the very center of the mopping pad, and the problem with that is if you don't pre-wet your pad, then you're going to start off only mopping a space behind the robot vacuum, only this wide. For that, I highly recommend that you pre-wet the mopping pad on the S7, and you won't have as much of a problem. Just something to note, other robot vacuums have 2 to 3 different places where they drop the water across the mopping pad, so you get this even coverage instead of expecting the water to start in the middle and spread all the way out to the end. Just something to keep in mind there. Now, if you purchase this without the auto empty dustbin, you may be frustrated with emptying out the dustbin inside the S7. I say that because when I first got the S7, I didn't have the auto empty dustbin, and they redesigned the internal dustbin in the S7 to allow for the auto empty dock. And in that redesign, when I opened up the lid to the dustbin to dump it in my trash can, many times I had to reach up in there and grab out tangles of hair that were stuck up in the dustbin, not making it such a pleasant thing to do. And so when I was able to pair this with the auto empty dustbin, it was a nice thing to see that the auto empty dustbin completely cleaned out the dustbin inside the S7. In fact, not only did it clean it out spotless, it also has cleaned my filter out. That's right, I haven't cleaned my filter once since adding the S7 to the auto empty dustbin. So if you buy the S7 and you're frustrated with the internal dustbin in there, this might be your answer to solve that problem. Now, I like the new roller brush design, the all rubber roller brush design in the S7. I have seen a few people complain about it tearing up prematurely on them. Now, the roller brushes are meant to be disposed of after so many hours and replaced. It is a wear and tear item. However, these people are complaining about the roller brush tearing up on them after a month or 2 of use. Now, I am pleased to announce after using this in my house for about 7 months, my roller brush is not torn up at all. So with that, I would say that, your mileage may vary. It could be depending on what people are vacuuming up. If you're allowing it to run over cords and things that it shouldn't, and it's getting wrapped around the roller brush, I could see where that would tear it. So my recommendation is always make sure that you pick up before you send your robot vacuums out for a cleaning. Alright, some things that are not really cons, but improvements for the S7 that I'd like to see. A lot of people have requested a front camera or object-based recognition system across the front here in the new model, something like the S6 Max V has, where the camera-based system can detect whether it's going to run over cords or other objects in your house. One other thing I'd like for them to improve is the Viberize system. I would like to see the mop totally rise up inside of the S7, and where it doesn't have the opportunity to hit thicker carpet. Right now it rises up a few millimeters, but not quite enough for those people that have plush rugs or carpet. So having that mopping pad rise up a little bit would be a nice improvement. Alright, so finally, what do I think about the S7 and the S7 Plus with the auto empty dock? Well, let me tell you, this is my daily go-to robot vacuum in my house. When I want my floors cleaned, the S7 is the one that does it. The S7 with the auto empty dock is a nice welcome change to all of the other robot vacuums that are basically cookie cutters out on the market. They've really brought some good innovation here with the S7 and with their auto empty dock. And I think they've hit the nail on the head. While there are some cons and some drawbacks to it, there are cons and drawbacks to all of the robot vacuums that I have tested. And I'll say that the S7 has the least of them. They're all things that you can work around. At the end of the day, the performance of this thing is top notch in vacuuming on carpet and on hard floors and on mopping on hard floors. And the auto empty dock has made using the S7 an absolute breeze. The auto empty dustbin here has a 3-liter dust bag in it, which has been enough for me to run for about 4 months. I'm about 3/4 of the way full here. Your mileage may vary depending on how much square footage your house is. The addition to the HEPA filter is welcomed. I have checked it, and the HEPA filter is still looking fairly clean. Having an auto empty dustbin that doesn't clog up or you have to mess with or becomes more of a headache is also a welcome change. So do I recommend the S7 Plus? Absolutely. Whether you get the S7 or the S7 Plus with the auto empty dock, you can't go wrong with either of them, especially if you can live with some of the drawbacks or understand how to work around them. Alright, well I appreciate you watching this. If you have any questions about the S7, go ahead and drop those down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, hey, it helps my channel out a whole lot. I appreciate you going and hitting that subscribe button and sharing this content if you enjoyed it. Alright everybody, I appreciate you watching it. Take it easy everyone. Bye-bye.